So what exactly is an outlaw kart? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to today's show. My name is Tanner Holmes, and I'm a full-time sprint car driver from Southern Oregon. But when I got started in dirt racing, I didn't start in sprint cars. I actually got started in what is sitting behind me, an Outlaw Kart. But see, when you look at this thing, it is by no means race ready. It is not complete. We are missing a seat, we're missing an engine. Heck, we're missing half the top wing with the side panels. But I did this today on purpose so I could kind of walk through and show you the different components of it and how an Outlaw Kart works to kind of give you a little bit better definition on what these crazy little things are like and how much fun they are to drive. So we're gonna make it easy. We're gonna take the hood off and even the tail piece, which is half the body that sits on our car, which with the stuff that we have missing, if you kind of look at it and break down really what's here, it's not a lot. Now this roller specifically behind me is an open Outlaw Kart, which would be the top division where kids, from 13, 14, 15 years old on up to whatever age can race. So in a normal situation, we will have a CR500 two-stroke strapped onto the side of this thing, or possibly some sort of 450 four-stroke that could be built by Yamaha, KTM, Honda, the list kind of goes on. The engine sits here on the right side, and then the seat would be to the left, because normally the driver would be heavier than the engine, so that helps with left side weight and making this thing turn around the track. And when I'm off racing other things and people kind of come up and ask me about Outlaw Karts, they say, man, they look like they have crazy power, they're kind of out of control, and that's exactly right. They have the same power to weight ratio as a 410 sprint car, and even similar to like what it would be like to drive a midget. Step on the gas, you lift the front end off the ground, and you just have such immediate power, into the racetrack and take off. So when you step on the gas pedal, as you can imagine, it's a thrill. What I want to talk about next, it's probably the most important part of what is sitting here behind me, and that is your frame. It is the absolute bare part of an Outlaw Kart, and a frame weighs 27 pounds. 27 pounds, and when this thing is sitting complete with a driver, with an engine, it has to weigh 450 pounds. So your frame is extremely crucial because in these race cars, we have no shocks, we have no torsion bars, we have no suspension, and that's why, when you watch the onboards, and some of it is just the cage shaking, but it looks like a really rough ride, and that is because when tracks have holes and ruts and jumps, it is a little bit of a rough ride. So in simple terms, your frame is kind of in some sort of way your suspension. That's what's flexing, that's what's digging you into the racetrack, making grip. And if you swing over here to the back of the race car, you can see our rear axle and our axle hangers, which is what we have bolted onto the frame rail. As far as the axle goes, we either run aluminum or steel. And back here is where we can control our rear ride height. Basically, you can move the rear end of the car up or you can move them down, and that's all on these axle hangers with how many lines you have showing. Basically, the more lines that are showing, the higher the back of the car is, and then when there's no line showing, that's as low as you can go. And that's super crucial for your feel in your race car and your side bite, and how free you are on entry, when your car picks up grip, how it drives off the track. And so you would mess with that a lot depending on the banking, the material, and what you're trying to achieve, with where your balance of your car is at. One more thing to note about the back of the car is these karts have, different holes you can place your axle in. So QRC gives you a wide range of adjustment by moving it forward and back, which can also, add drive or take it away. And now as we move up front, you can see where your driver's legs will sit. Normally there's a radiator here, and your legs will go underneath it, and then you have your two pedals. And up here you basically have where your steering wheel connects down through the steering shaft into the frame, and then you have your tie rods which break off to the front blocks, spindles, kingpins, and that's how your front tires are connected. And up front here, it's very common when you get banged around on track to bend a quick kingpin, and you can just pull it out, drop another one in, and everything should be back to normal. But just like the back of the car, you can mess with your front ride heights here. With your left front spindle, your right front spindle, you can adjust them up and down, and that will affect your cross. And like other race cars, these work in an X, so your left front coordinates to your right rear, and your right front coordinates to your left rear. But yeah, it always amazes me, like I said, how simple they really are. You can just see our floor pan, you can see where our pedals mount, and then you have, your components up front. One of the keywords I mentioned there was our cross weight. In my personal opinion, maybe some would disagree with me, but it's very important that you scale your Outlaw Kart. At least I'm a firm believer in it. My dad has scaled our cars from day one. QRC scales their cars. All the best guys I race against, I believe, do as well. And it's just really the only way to get everything set about in the same spot every single time and see what your weights look like on all corners and, you know, your left to right and your rear percentage and the whole 9 yards. So that's what we tend to do, and I feel like it's big for your karting program, just because things get tweaked and weights get off and then your car drives different, and especially, you know, not having some of the technology of sprint cars with shocks, torsion bars, all that, you are really relying on that frame. So as things change, even just, you know, in a minor way, your whole setup book could end up off and you don't even know it. But at least if you put your car on the scales, you know exactly where you're at when you're leaving your shop to head to the track. So I turn the car just a little bit here. You can see our roll cage. This is probably obvious, but this is what protects us race car drivers. You know, karts, things happen, they roll over, they crash just like anything else, but having a cage on top is what sets us apart from, you know, like flat car racing. I think it's common where sometimes you see people, you know, not necessarily stay attached to their car, but in kart racing, you have your seat right here, you're belted in. And I think that was big for the innovation of karts, as they, of course, also, you know, didn't always have that. Of course, on both sides, you have your Nerf bars. Down here, which would be normally attached to a seat, you have a wing slider, so you can, you know, move your wing front to back. When that's all hooked up, the farther your wing is forward, the better your car is gonna kind of rotate. And the farther back you get it, the more grip you're gonna have. So maybe if a racetrack's starting out fast and then throughout a 30-lap main, it's slickening off and you can feel your tires heating up and you're losing a little bit of drive, you can just grab the wing slider and kind of, you know, get just a little bit more out of your race car to try not to fade as fast. And similar to other race cars, we also have our simple adjustments, you know, your wheel spacing front and back, your tire pressure on all four corners, your wing angle. As simple as I feel like everything is, there's also a lot of minor details that you have to have perfect to kind of, you know, put your whole package together. That's really my best explanation on what an Outlaw Kart is. In sort of the simplest way I could put it is I kind of tried to go through everything. What I will say is when you watch a good Outlaw Kart race on the right racetrack with the right drivers, I feel like it's, you know, one of the most exciting forms of dirt racing to spectate. I don't know, they just have the side of them where you have to drive the cars really hard. You know, you're usually in a confined space. Unexpected things happen, and in those situations, to be a driver, it's incredible. So that's why I still like to run Outlaw Karts. It's a good way for me to stay behind the wheel when I'm not in the sprint car during the winter. I also have a great opportunity. I drive for factory QRC, so Jimmy Elledge gives me, you know, the best of the best stuff, and I'm very thankful to be in that position. And if you're looking to get an Outlaw Kart, I would recommend going to QRC. You can give them a call at 530-527-9199. Some people would say I'm biased. Maybe I am. But it's been proven over and over again that what is sitting right here behind me is the best on the market and the best, and one of the best ways to get involved in motorsports. You know, if you have a young kid, or even if you're a teenager or you're an adult and you're just wanting to go have some fun and, you know, figure out what the sport's all about, this is a great way to do it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one, and we need to finish putting this thing together so we can get it on track.